Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Brotherhood. This is our second episode of our friendship series, and we'll be talking about how to maintain long distance friendships. This is something that a lot of people run into at the young adult age, as me and Chris have, but this is also applicable if you have family that's far away or friends that moved away from your home. So, we'll be sharing 3 tips that we think have helped us and could help you keeping those friendships or relationships strong. Our first tip is that you want to be intentional about keeping your long distance friend. This could be as simple as just mentioning before they move away, or let's say I'm moving away to college, just mentioning to them that I want to stay in touch when we're away from each other. This is just nice by keeping you on the same page that you both want to keep talking to each other and that you both want to keep doing this. And I think a lot of times you have to think about this like a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You would never go long distance with someone like that without mentioning that you want to go long distance or without stating your intention. And I think that same respect should be given to friendships. It'll help it go a lot smoother.
Yeah, well, with my girlfriend, she has very, very strict parents. So it's kind of like we're basically already long distance because we only see each other a couple times a week. So most of the time we're calling and FaceTiming and stuff. It's like, it seems like it's stupid and it's just like something kids do, but it's like texting goodnight or like FaceTiming while we sleep. It shows that you want to make it a real thing and you're not just like ignoring each other. Like you should just like as a friend, you guys should be one person. It should be like a we thing, not a you and I thing all the time. And it's hard to do like when you're so far apart where you're not allowed to see each other all the time. But reaching out, saying like, good night, good morning, I love you, stuff like that, it just goes a long way.
Something that's important is that you'll have to put an effort to maintain something like that. Those texts or committing to calls, stuff like that is very important to maintaining this, because if you put no effort in, it's just going to stagnate and fade away slowly. And something else that can be helpful is setting up a regular time to call. This is something that I did specifically with my mom because we really didn't call that much the first semester because it was always spontaneous. And you just kind of end up being busy a lot when you're at college because at least I procrastinate work. I end up not having that much time to talk to my mom. But with that set time, I knew, hey, I got to get stuff done to leave this time open to talk to her.
Yeah, along with the effort thing, if I had plans with her to call, or if I had plans with Davis to call and play video games or something, but something else comes up, I gotta be like, no, I have to play this game with him. It seems stupid, but like, this is how we communicate, and this is my friend. Just like we said the last episode with like sacrificing things for the other person, it still is a big thing when could be miles and miles and miles away.
What Chris mentioned plays right into our second main point, that you want to develop an anchor for your friendship. And an anchor is something that you have in common that's a reason to reach out to each other. So this could be like a musician that you both listen to or a show that you both enjoy watching. It really doesn't matter what it is as long as it helps you to maintain and build a connection. Something me and Chris did is we both watched the TV show Invincible. We would always talk about the episodes, or Chris would let me know when they came out, even though I claimed that he never told me.
3 times.
Tuesday nights,
3 a.m. We'd make a time, like if we weren't playing video games, which is like another thing we like to do, but I would stream the show on my computer and he would follow along, and it just made it better because it was like we were in person again. It was really no different than actually being in person.
It's a nice way to feel like a level of comfort because it's something that we're like used to, like just watching something together. We also played video games a lot. I think that's really how we started talking a lot long distance. We did a poor job at the beginning of our first semester of college at reaching out to each other. It was kind of a mix of busyness, and we were just unprepared for the switch because we never really mentioned it to each other. We started playing games together pretty consistently, and that was really what allowed us to talk. But it also should be mentioned that a friendship can't survive just alone on these anchors. We can't go from invincible episode to invincible episode and expect that to sustain our friendship completely. You'll need to like talk outside of that, but it's good to break the ice and maybe lead into a deeper conversation.
And that's not saying like you need to talk every single day. Like you don't have to have a full conversation about your deepest, darkest secrets every day.
Yeah.
It's as simple as saying like texted, hi, how was your day? Like it's like once in a while, that's a good thing. If you don't talk for a week, you don't talk for a week. But then like making the time count that you are together, talking about what's good in your life, talking about what's bad in your life, and working things out together.
That's something that really helps build the strength of your friendship, having exclusive experiences. So you'll build up memories, experiences, and jokes with your friends that they haven't experienced with other people. And that's something that will really draw you guys closer. Like, I know there's gaming at night, which is something we did a lot. It's like, I don't really do that with anyone else, or at least anyone else in like the same way. And that's just something that's exclusive to this friendship.
He's waiting. There he is. There's no way he was dancing before, dude. I just noticed it last time. Stop dancing, please. And the final tip of this episode, probably the most important one in my opinion, is not overthinking when it comes to long distance relationships. If you don't get to talk for a couple weeks, both of you are busy, both of you are having a hard time, and you just don't have the time to reach out or something, that can come with a lot of overthinking. That's the hard part about long distance, because if one person's overthinking, that rolls into the next person, so then you don't talk to each other. Like, it seems like a circle. Oh, well, he doesn't want to talk to me. Well, she doesn't want to talk to me, so I'm not going to reach out and talk to them. So now we don't have a scheduled time, and now we're not playing video games, and now we're fading away. Like, it's just breaking through that, being like, hey, you okay? Like, did I do something? If it's nothing you did something happen? Are you okay? Do you want to hop on the game tonight or something like that?
Something I learned about in communications that relates to this is the slippery slope logical fallacy. This is basically thinking that an initial event will trigger a series of events that basically just leads to destruction. Maybe you're like, this person hasn't texted me back in 12 hours, which means they clearly hate me, which means our friendship is over, which means I'll never find another friend like that again, which means my social life is over. Obviously, that's sort of an extreme example, but I think to some degree, I would admit at least I overthink that way, where I think such a small action means a lot more than it does.
With the, oh, everybody hates me, this person hates me, we're never going to be friends again. It's like, it's kind of like an overgeneralization. And it gets so bad, it's kind of like a mental crash out in your own head. Like, you're telling yourself this stuff and you just instantly crash out. Overgeneralization, it's in more of like professional terms. It's from CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive is in your own brain, not affected by anybody else. It's just what you're thinking. You're overgeneralizing. This person doesn't like me because they're not talking to me. They didn't say, hi, how are you today? So we're done. They hate me. I need to move on.
The main thing to keep in mind with a lot of these issues is that you don't want to be brushing them under the rug. You'll start overthinking your own head. And this is something that I do a decent bit, is I'll like imagine conversations with people. I'll start imagining and going through possible responses that they could give. And this is a pretty bad thing to do. This is something I only really learned from my communications class in college. Because honestly, I thought that was normal to have like fake conversations with people. What you're doing there is you're really just assuming what someone else is going to say, and then maybe you imagine them saying something that isn't what you want to hear, and then like you get annoyed at them in your own head. Even though it's in your own head, when you talk to them, you're still going to like remember that. It's going to happen eventually where you start to build up a disliking for this person that's going to start bleeding into your actual life.
Yeah, I think that's something everybody does, especially like it comes with like talking to yourself. But I know, like, again, if you're asking like a serious question, like if we're going back to relationships, like asking a girl out or asking a boy out, you make up this false reality in your head and you make it the reality that happened, but it didn't actually happen. So it like takes you away from actually asking the question or asking to hang out or something like that. Just getting past that barrier of trying to decipher what's perception and what's reality makes relationships much easier.
A lot of this I've tried to work on recently, really trying to think rationally, which is really difficult to do because it is simply a fact that your first response to any situation is going to be emotional. And a lot of times you just need to give yourself time to think and really process stuff before you'll be able to think and ultimately act rationally. In this situation, if someone like doesn't respond to your message right away, not immediately jumping to they hate me or like, oh, I never wanted to be friends with this person anyways. No, just like sit on it for a few hours and then think about it and realize it really isn't that bad. It's not that serious. For me, this tends to happen when I feel like I'm putting in more effort than another person into a relationship. The natural response when you feel like you're giving more and receiving less is to back away. And then when you back away, you start to overthink and escalate in your own head. When really, if you look at the other side of it, maybe they were just tired one day or like were busy with something and weren't free to talk. And so they just think everything's normal and you're over here fuming because they didn't respond the way you wanted. What you should do when you feel that way is you should reach out to hear their side of the story. I had a friend that went to a different college than me. Something that was different with them is they weren't someone who liked to text all the time. And this is something that I wasn't super familiar with because I feel like every relationship has its own way of communicating. Like some people will text a lot and not call that often. Some people will do a lot of both. And in this situation, it was not a lot of texting, but we'd call every so often, and that's really how we would communicate. When I was first like growing closer to them in this long distance form, I wasn't used to that, so I felt like I was being ignored, or if they weren't putting effort into it because they weren't texting me. After just saying that out loud to them, they just said that they're not a big texter and they're also just busy, which helped to remove that overthinking on my side and really explain what was going on past what I was thinking.
Yeah, you don't know how someone's going to want to communicate. It could be calls, it could be text, it could be they don't want to text or call at all, and they only want to see you in person. That's just something that you and that person need to figure out before it gets to the point of overthinking and wanting to just end it there.
If you feel your friendship slipping, just say, I would love to hear from you more, or something like, what would hearing from you more look like for you? Or is that something that you're willing or open to do? If the friendship's gonna end anyways, what do you really have to lose from that? I think that should be the main thing that is taken away. If a long distance friendship is gonna end, what do you have to lose by trying to save it? Just to restate and go over our main tips, they were to be intentional about keeping your long distance friend, to develop an anchor for your friendship, and not to overthink in these situations. So I hope that these tips help you to maintain and develop stronger long distance friendships or relationships with relatives. And if no one else told you it today, I believe in you and you can do it. Thank you for watching.
I want to meet the top therapist, like it doesn't go to anybody. Like top dog. See if they can.
Like someone who's just like solid.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's the top of the family tree. He's daddy.
That's outrageous, not gonna lie.
You can call him daddy. Nothing wrong with being called daddy. All right, yeah.
You're not making it better.
Communion juice is low-key gas, though. So is that bread, baby. That's gas.
You're not gas. A fan of the styrofoam?
No, dude. I stopped coming because of that.
Bro, what are you doing? You're sitting alone in a room moaning right now. Just
who says
I know you're alone. Just be reflective here for a second.